Hey, beauty, and welcome to this podcast episode, the last episode that I'm needing to create for my book that's been released. And I say, hey, in code 2. Code 2? No, it's not code 2. Might be code 4. Hey, if you want to dive deeper, come listen to this podcast episode. That podcast episode didn't exist. And here I am creating it. So welcome. We're going to be talking about permission. Oh my God. So excited to do this episode. And I was touching on this already 2 episodes back where I share about my book writing process. Permission and the switch. Well, this is not what I'm making it about. This is not what the podcast episode is necessarily about, but the switch that I've had this year has just helped me see this in such a clearer light. And it's really key. I have 2 chapters in my book, my brand new book, Be Unacceptable. I have 2 chapters about permission. One in part 1. Part 1 is the spells that bind us, the spells of acceptability. I'm just seeing actually what I actually called it. Spells of submission. Oh, yes. Spells of submission. Oh, I think I'm going to record a podcast episode where I go through the kind of like artistic process with the words and the naming of the sections and the naming of the codes that I went through, because it was actually really fun. There's so many kind of different directions, and it was like, oh, do I want to layer it this way or this way? Or it was really fun. But the spells of submission part 1, spell 3 is permission. So the spells of submission are the spells that make you submit to your conditioning even when you don't want to. Like, you could be anywhere on the scale of really unaware of your conditioning and discovering it and discovering that you have been submitting and obeying kind of these concepts and rules about life, how you need to be in the world, resolving your sense of incompleteness. Or you could be way further down that spectrum, which, was a place that I used to be, where I had the awareness of all of that shit. I had the awareness. I'd had the breakthroughs, and I still found myself bound, pulled back, pulled down, when I would try to go out and really create what I wanted, or talking myself out of it, having these genius ideas and downloads. I remember once back when I lived in Melbourne and I was really focused on money coaching, and I was really like feeling the call and the obviousness to bring in more of like this feminine energy and the feminine relationship to money into it. And I had this whole download, which I remembered for such a long time. But it's not occurring to me right this moment, of like something really edgy to start sharing. And I just was like, oh, yes, totally. Like, people are going to really resonate with this. And it's really like direct and honest and edgy. And then the next morning I talked myself out of it, because I was like, oh, I can't say that. I can't say that. I can't do that. So I would have these like literally like talking myself out of the things after I had the insights and downloads. And the other thing that I also had was like, I would go for the things and I would, launch a course, put myself out there. And then I would have this uncontrollable reaction of shutting myself down and shutting my energy down and, getting sick or having like really bad fatigue. I could barely do anything, and just kind of like this, what felt like out of my conscious control shutdown of my energy. And I was like, fuck, like I kind of get going, I create momentum, and then I like pull back for like 6 months until I can get myself together again enough to like get out there. And then that's, you keep killing your momentum, and momentum is key in creating. So I wrote this book. For that reason, because it was a really big journey I went on of like, okay, yeah, I can even see that I'm doing this shit. And I can even see why I'm doing this shit, but I still feel powerless to it. I still feel like, it's got me bound. It's got me. And so my journey to coming actually into my full power and not being owned and dominated by that is what I've put together, what I learned, and what I came to practice is what I put together in my book, Be Unacceptable. And permission is a really big piece of that. So permission, it's the shortest spell chapter. There's not really a lot that needs to be said about it, but it does have a spell chapter. And then it also is in part 2, one of the codes for waking up and living the wildly divine path of being unacceptable. You know, what was hard to decide was the wildly divine path of being unacceptable or the divinely wild path of being unacceptable, because both work. The wildly divine, it is divine. Being unacceptable is to live and in appreciation and orientation of your divine nature. And so it's wildly divine, actually, the path of being unacceptable. And it's also divinely wild, because you, in your wildness, your unconditioned self, is your true divine self. Oh my God, I'm at my sister's place right now. I'm just looking out the window. There's a kookaburra that's just landed on this tree out my window. I am from Australia. There's not actually a lot of kookaburras. There's actually no kookaburras that live in the area I grew up in on a farm. I have seen a kookaburra or two, I think, in Melbourne when I lived there. You know, I've seen some kookaburras in my time, but not a lot. So that's really cool. That is, wow. Oh my God. This place, guys. My sister, okay, I feel like I had so much to get off my chest 2 episodes ago that I started to tell you so many things that I never finished, because I just felt like there was so much that I needed to share with you after recording an episode for 3 months and having probably the biggest 3 months of my entire life, literally. But I'm staying at my sister's studio right now that they usually Airbnb, and it is just so nice. They usually Airbnb it, and there's like a spa in the deck. It just completely looks out onto nature. It is breathtakingly gorgeous, like hills, the forest, and you know, and in the studio, that's all you see. Like you don't see, like the house is like back, kind of by the road. And I would absolutely do a writing retreat here. Like what I was trying to get at that 2 episodes ago that I think I never finished saying, now that I'm saying this, was that I booked a really expensive place for that writing retreat like years ago on the Sunshine Coast that cost me like, I'm pretty sure it was about $4,000 Australian for the week. And this place is so much better. And it's definitely way cheaper than that. But it's like, this is even better, like so much better. So maybe I'll put the link in the episode description to the Airbnb, because if you're in Australia, like I went to the Sunshine Coast from South Australia for my writing retreat. That's a really long way. Unless you were in Perth or Western Australia, you would not be further from here than I was from the Sunshine Coast. And then I had to hire a car that I got through Car Next Door, actually. I didn't do the airport thing. I think that would have been like triple the price. I just got a Car Next Door, which is a app, which actually now I think is combined with Uber, or Uber bought it. Anyways, whatevs. This place is stunning. If you need like an integration week away for yourself in a beautiful, like very spacious studio in nature, right next to the beach. The beach is like a 15-minute walk, or you could ride your bike, or if you got a hire car, you can drive. And the beach is so nice. I walked along the beach this morning. I just didn't want to leave the beach. It's like, you know, this is a really quiet area. You're walking along most of the beach on your own. It's a big, long stretch of beach. It would be about a 5-kilometer stretch of beach, I think, or maybe 4. Waves. It's a surf spot, actually. My sister and her partner are surfers. And this has got a kitchen, it's got a bathroom, it's got an amazing deck, it's got a spa in the deck. Oh my God, guys, like if you need a writing retreat, a creative retreat, an art retreat, an integration retreat, like I highly recommend it. Anyways, so permission is also one of the codes. I'm not sure if that's what I was saying, but that's definitely what I was up to saying. And I was trying to figure out which code it is. Oh, yes, it is code 4. I was right. You are the permission you have been waiting for. Ooh, yeah. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to read. I wasn't going to do this, but I'm just going to read the first little bit and then we're going to kick it off from there. There is no magical authority in the world that you need permission from to do what you would most love to do. Now, I really want you to let that sink in. There is no magical authority in the world that you need permission from to do what you would most love to do. And do you know what I want to add to that? Or to be who you would most love to be. I think that's probably even like really it. It's to be who you would most love to be. If you would most love to be a thought leader, guide, and wisdom giver, there is no permission you need to be that. Like you think you do. You think you need a certain number of followers or recognition or people that love your work or being offered book deals or to be making $1 million a year in a coaching business. You don't need anything, nothing. You don't even need a client to like have permission to just start doing that. And actually that's the thing that's going to get you clients is that you actually just start doing that. You actually just start owning and sharing your wisdom. That's it. That's half the way, guys. That's what I want you to get in this episode. Obviously, if you're going to do brain surgery or argue in court, you need skill and training, right? I'm not denying that. But the days of needing mummies and daddies' permission to do something are over. Your ego just hasn't realized it yet. You're the daddy now. If you want to start selling handmade clothes out of upcycled jeans and bed sheets, you can do it. If you want to build a cult-like following making Egyptian-style custom gold jewelry, you can do it. If you want to publish a book of drawings about the human journey of self-discovery, you can do it. If you want to guide others to living a better life through any means that turns you on, you can do that too. Whatever is in your heart, you can do it. The fact that it's in your heart is your permission. So I'm going to leave it there in terms of from the book. And all those things I read out are all things that my clients are doing and have all gone through a process. I think this is just, I would say almost for all women, definitely for a very decent percentage of men as well. It does seem to be more prevalently like a greater issue in terms of just how many women have an issue with this for women than men, but absolutely like a huge percentage of men have issue with this. But I think that just absolutely comes down to just the cultural lineage of our roles in society. And every woman today was raised by a woman who had less power, choice, and essentially maybe rights than them. And it's just left over for that. Women didn't have permission to have their own bank account until really recently. Women didn't have permission to buy their own house. You know, they didn't have permission to inherit money. They didn't have permission to have a lot of jobs, like a lot of jobs. My nana, when my mother's mum, when she came out of school, had 2 options for study, nursing or teaching. That was it. That was her option. She didn't have permission to be a doctor. She didn't have permission to be a banker. She didn't have permission to do anything other than those 2 things. And as soon as she got married, she didn't have permission to work as a teacher anymore. She was a teacher for deaf kids. And once she was married, she wasn't allowed to teach. She had to, so she could either just not have a job, which I think she did initially. And then very tragically and sadly, her husband became very sick with cancer and melanomas. And so they were like 22, 23. And she had to support him and nurse him, until he died over like a year. And because she was married, she couldn't go back and get a teacher job to do that. She had to work at a hardware store to provide for them while he was dying of cancer because she was a woman. That's only my grandmother. So that's why, it's not like It's not like this men and women divide thing, but it's just like this is the context, that our current culture is informed by. And women had less permission and less choice. But everyone, you know, well, like mostly, like it's a common thing from childhood that your parents give you permission. And your ego doesn't get the memo that that's over. And especially in our culture, it's like more and more you have to permission for everything, permission for every job. You need a certificate. You needed this, you needed that. People used to just be able to do things, but no, you needed like a certificate to do this and a qualification to do that. Are you allowed to do that? Has someone said you can do that? You're not allowed to do that. There's all of this conditioning of like someone's got to tell you you're allowed to do fucking anything. Someone's going to tell you you're allowed to put up a tiny little garden shed on your block of land. Someone's got to tell you that you own. Someone's going to tell you you're allowed to build a house. You're allowed to do this, right? There's so much permission that our culture runs off. And it becomes unconsciously internalized that we just then sort of have this sense that we need permission to do something. If you want to go into a new area of work, we kind of have this sense of like, I need some sort of permission. And that's why a lot of people seek out a qualification to give themselves permission because they don't think they have permission without a qualification when a qualification is maybe not necessary and not required. Like in coaching, I don't think coaching qualifications are bad. I think if you don't have any structures for coaching, you need to learn some structures to deliver your coaching through, and a certification would be one way to do that. So I'm not like anti-certifications, but I am if you're doing it to get permission when you don't need it, like that, that's just a complete illusion. And here's the thing that, I was so stuck in this for so long, which I feel like I had quite an expansive like breakthrough seeing a lot of things year. And I feel like this is one of the things as well that I've seen more clearly than ever before, and also developed the tools for myself that I could step out of and actually like step into my full power, and permission being one of them. So I just want to give you this example, which again, I feel like I really did touch on this in my 2 podcast episodes ago, but like that, especially, I mean, honestly, it relates to it relates to product-based businesses. It just relates to any type of business. I mean, obviously beyond business, but I'm just thinking in terms of what I'm going to share in this episode with examples. But to share in terms, I guess, specifically in terms of coaching or like teaching, guidance, whatever. But most people, not everyone, and you notice it when people don't have it and you're like, fuck, where did they get that audacity from? Most people are sitting around thinking that, or unconsciously assuming that they need permission from someone before they can act like a leader, before they can act like they have something truly valuable to share. It's like, I get to act like that when enough people have bought my thing, or when someone recognizes me, like maybe Oprah recognizes me, or when a book publisher, keep using that example because it's actually a very good illustration, or when a book publisher like notices me, then I have permission to be like, yeah, like this is what I have to share. I have a mission and a message for humanity. I have a mission and a message for these types of people. And it's kind of like you're unconsciously waiting for that. You're like, I can't just, I can't just like own that now. No one sees that in me. I'll just look stupid. And there is where you fuck yourself and you go completely wrong. You go like, I'm going to look like an idiot. I need to be recognized first. Recognition would be one egoic preoccupation that you need first. It could be that you need recognition first. It could be that you need success first. It's like this unconscious sense that you need to be making this amount of money, or be contacted for publicity, or, have someone famous call you out. Like, I need this. I need this before I can show up as that woman that, or man or whatever, that knows like that acts like, I don't know why this jumped into my mind, but I'm just going to say it, that acts like Simon Sinek would act on a stage, like that has that level of conviction in what they're sharing, right? I feel like this is actually quite a good example. Just imagine Simon Sinek on stage and how passionately he's sharing about like the power of why, and here's why you need why. It's like super, super simple concept, right? And he had one other one that like went viral a few years ago. It was like millennials at work or something. But the level of conviction, right, that he shows up on those stages with, of like how this is important and what he has to share with the world through this speech, and the value and importance of that. No one gave him permission. Like, he claimed it. And what you're probably doing, if you think about that level of conviction, what you're probably doing is you're like, oh, that's maybe when you do like a vision tune in of like where you see yourself. I remember back when I was working still at Roxby, BHP in mining, as an engineer. And and I'd gotten into all this spiritual development, and there was this other woman in the town, the one that introduced me to like the online business world. And she came, we were like kind of felt like really different because no one was on that wavelength there. She came over and we did this like future you meditation. It was like took you 2 years in the future and you saw yourself somewhere. And I saw myself like on a stage in front of 1,000 people, which definitely did not manifest in 2 years, which I don't think means anything because time is just your ego trying to make sense and control and secure things. But I saw that, like I saw that in myself, but I would have never let myself own myself as that person yet. I feel like I have this year. I own myself as that person, but like unconsciously, like my identity, until I'm recognized by lots of people that want to put me on a stage like that, then I can't act like I'm at that level yet. And that is where you go wrong. That is where you go wrong. That is exactly where you go wrong, because it's you owning that that's who you are and that's your true level now that gets you there, because no one is coming to give you permission. You're not going to suddenly feel qualified when you have 100,000 followers. You're not going to suddenly feel like worthy when you're making $500,000 a year. You're not. You're going to be like, oh my God, I kind of fluked this. I don't know if I can do it, sustain it again next year. I need to do this. I need to prove that I can sustain this before I can start acting like, I'm at this level. Like, you're not even going to let yourself act at that level once you get to that level, because you're going to feel insecure about that level, because needing to be somewhere you're not is born of insecurity anyway. I need to be somewhere or someone I'm not right now in order to be that person I see at the level of my vision is your insecurity talking. And it's why you keep yourself at the level you're at. The level you're at, you're not going to elevate to where you want to be while you keep acting like all you are is like the level you're at. There's no tension anymore for anything to move. You're acting like you're at the level you're at, so you're going to keep staying at the level you're at. Your actions, I was actually talking to my sister about this in the spa last night. The spa on the deck here that we had after dinner, so nice. Your level, like exactly what you're doing is what leads to the exact circumstances you're experiencing in your life. Like what you're doing leads to the life experience you're having. So if you hold yourself at the level of where you are right now in life, like, this is the level you're at, is like someone that has, I don't know, one client, and just as a total example, and not consistently producing content because you don't really think there's anyone that cares about your content. If that's what you're doing, like you're holding yourself at that level, which is resulting in those behaviors, and that's sort of how you're identifying yourself, you're not going to move. You're going to stay there. You're just actually going to stay there. Like that doesn't lead to you getting to your next level. Do you know what leads to you getting your next level? is that you stop believing there's some sort of permission you need before you can act like the greatness that you see in your vision and your end result, and you start acting like that now because you are that person. And if you start acting like that person now because you are, acting like you're less than that is an act. This is something I've been talking a lot actually with my sister about, but also my clients, because also a big thing that's come through my weight loss. I call it weight loss, but really like reclaiming my power back from my like dysfunction, kind of trauma trigger around food and my body and health. It's an act. So if you act like less than that, that's an act you're putting on because you believe that's how you need to act, to be appropriate to your circumstances, to be acceptable to your circumstances. Otherwise, people are going to be like, why is she, this is what you think, why is she acting like that? Why is he acting like that? He's not that good. She's not that good. Who the fuck do they think they are? The fuck do you think you are? Actually, it's interesting that's what came to my mind because I'm pretty sure that's what I get to by the end of that permission chapter in part 2. Let me just see. Oh, no. No, yeah, no. That's the code. Actually, no, it's in the tone it up section, what I was thinking of. But who the fuck do you think you are? Who do you think you are? So then you go into an act of acting smaller because you think that that's the appropriate way to be to your current circumstances. And it's not until your circumstances change, aka you get more followers, you're making more money, blah, 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 that you can start acting like you're better than that you can start acting like you really are a leader. You really are a person of influence. You really do have value. You're like at the level of Simon Sinek, who's going to get on that TED stage and like own, hey, I know why these brands win, and this is what you need to do too if you want to win. Like, you think you need your external circumstances to change, and then you're allowed to start changing how you act, but you won't because it's your identity, and so then you're not going to feel like you're a match for those things. And as I said before, you'll be worried like, oh, I can't sustain this. People aren't going to believe this. Actually, I'm a fraud. So that's why you got to get out of that whole fucking matrix, because that matrix is never going to resolve in the direction you want it to resolve. So you need to stop that act. You need to stop acting like you're less than you are, because that's what you're doing. And if you're not following through on your vision that you see that you're here for, it's because you're in a fucking act and you're not giving yourself permission. There is no external permission coming. No one's going to give it to you. That's not how it works. You don't get onto that stage by your circumstances changing. You get onto that stage by you changing, which then results in your circumstances obviously changing. If you start acting like you are someone who has a body of work to share, you've got these insights about femininity, or you've got these insights about intuition, or you've got these insights about whatever that you have to share, and you start acting like that truth that you have insights to share, and you just start acting like the leader that you know you're here to be, and you stop thinking you need something before you can act like that, then that's going to lead you to your end results. That's what's going to get you on stage. You're not going to get on stage by waiting for things to change so that then you can embody more confidence and more conviction in your message. You're going to get on that stage by disregarding your current circumstances, stopping believing that you need permission from someone to act like the person you see in your true vision of yourself, your true nature that you tune into. You need to stop thinking there's something you need from the external world. You actually just act like that now. You own that now. You give yourself permission that now. And that's how you create your vision. That is what will manifest your vision. You start being someone that has something interesting, like, for people to want to listen to. If if we go back to that example of one client, sometimes content, but you don't really create content because you don't really feel like anyone is listening. If you just act like, okay, I see myself in this vision, speaking on stages, like I've got books to write, I'm that person now. I have to see it before anyone else and just be it. And then that's what gives people the opportunity to see it in me, is that I'm putting it out there. I'm displaying it. I'm being that person. No one can see that you're that person if you don't fucking be that person. You're waiting for people to see you're that person or to fulfill the conditions of earning enough or whatever before you can be that. But it's the wrong way around. You got to be that so then people can be like, oh shit, yeah, I resonate with that. That's helpful. That's a helpful way for me to see it. Or, I'm just telling you because I work with clients who some do like wisdom, guidance, teaching based stuff. Some people have product businesses, lots of artists, things like that. And it's the same with what I share in the book is about one of my mastermind clients creating this sustainable upcycled fashion pieces. And she's not trained in fashion. She's not trained in pattern making. She's like, I'm not allowed to just make up clothes and sew them from upcycled stuff. Like, I'm not allowed to do that because I haven't been trained and qualified. And she saw that and she obviously came into my work and stepped into just choosing to be that person, someone that's creating this really innovative, sustainable brand. And do you know how an innovative, sustainable brand like that really gets going and gets traction? Is when someone owns that that's what it's meant to be from the beginning. And they just act like it. And they act like it's that important. And they act like it's that innovative. And they act like it's like the thing that they are intending it to be, and that it is if they just choose it to be. So I think I'm really I think I really landed this point, and so I'm not going to keep going on about it, but the thing to really just be with is like, what am I waiting for? What am I waiting for before I act like the person that I would most love to be, that I know in my heart I am and I would most love to be, and I'm on my journey to fully realize and become? Like, what do I think needs to be in place before I can act like that? What do I think is like so bad and wrong and inappropriate and unacceptable about me just acting like that right now? Like right now, if I just start acting like that right now, what am I afraid of? And, am I willing? Am I willing? Am I willing, like, for the possibility of that, because probably your brain's going to tell you that you're stupid, no one cares, no one follows you, and then you look like an idiot or whatever. It's like, is that what it's about for me? Or is it about for me? There's a lot more I would kind of take people through if I was coaching them around this, but is it about for me what I'm serving? Because that's why code number one is code number one, because it's the most important, the holy hot service of self-worship. Kneel at your new altar, which is kneel at your new altar of serving your heart's truth and true vision and your purpose and what you're here for. So it's like that, do you want to live for what those people think, or do you want to live to serve what you're here to bring into the world? So whatever you fear people are going to think about you, judge you, if you start acting like you're that good or you have something special or you matter, it's like, it's like, okay, cool. Well, am I willing to experience that? Am I willing for the possibility of that in order to serve my purpose, live my true path in life? And, the true and and sensible conclusion to come to is, yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. And also identify, like, what do I believe needs to be different about my conditions before I'm allowed to act like that? Because that will show you your sense of incompleteness and what your ego is trying to resolve before you're allowed. And I'm here to tell you, whatever you write down is bullshit. It's bullshit, and it's an illusion of your mind. And once you write it down, you can see it for what it is. And that's when you have the choice to go, okay, do I want to keep waiting for that? Or am I going to choose, I get to be this person now. I get to fully claim this now, because that's when you're going to have that conviction. You're going to be like Simon Sinek, but just at the start or earlier, maybe not at the start, but like earlier in the path. And the way you get to that end TED stage is that you live and embody that level of knowing and acting like that leader or that wisdom giver or that artist or that creator now. That's how it happens. That's what you do. And I fucking get it. Like I'm going to do an episode very soon on my podcast book launch. And I had a bit of a meltdown at the start of my book launch. And, one of the core things that was really being stirred up in me is like, I'm just so bad and wrong that I'm putting on an event, for my creations and acting like I'm important or they're important, like they matter, I matter. Like it's just so wrong that I'm doing this, So I get it. The conditioning runs fucking deep. That's exactly why I wrote this book, Be Unacceptable, because it's about literally how to break out of that conditioning and not live restricted and held back by it like I did for so long, when I knew for ages what I was and what I was about, but I was drowning in my egoic identity of not being allowed to be like that. So that is this podcast episode. I hope it has popped some light bulbs. I hope that it has shown you, it's just sort of bubbled up for you where you are limiting yourself, and you are waiting for permission that's not coming, that you don't need, and that you get to claim that now, and what vulnerability you need to open to as well in order to do that. So I hope you have got so much from this episode. I'm sending you so much love. If you loved it, I'd love to hear about it. Please send me a message on Instagram at alexh.co. I always love hearing what you get out of my podcast, and it's very motivating for me to stay consistent with my podcasts. If you haven't already read Be Unacceptable, go get it. Go get it. If you're still here at the end of this episode, do yourself a favor. Go get it. Like, ebook, less than a freaking yoga class, could just change your life. So go get it. If you have read it and that is why you're here listening to this and you loved it, I would love it if you would take a moment to leave a review on Amazon, because it actually just really helps this book get in front of more people that need its message. That's really what it does on Amazon for me. So I'm sending you so much love, beauties, and I'll see you in the next episode.